Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Councilmember Brian Armstrong. Today we're talking about both the February 4th and our February 18th City Council meetings. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, you were here last year. I kind of was like, this isn't your first rodeo.
Yeah.
I said this is maybe your second, right?
Yeah, last time I did it, I think it was in October, so it was not this cold outside.
Okay. and we're getting this cold behind us.
Yes,
it looks like coming up here we're going to have a nice stretch of 40s next week. So
might be able to actually get the car washed again.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully the folks that like the winter weather are enjoying the winter recreation, and we'll be turning the corner on spring before you know it.
Yep.
We haven't had to have the plows out too much this winter either.
No, that's a good thing. It's well, I'm sure everybody likes it because then you don't have to shovel the bottom of your driveway after they came by, even though they do a great job.
Yeah, you still got to go out there and notoriously, right?
Yep.
It's when you do your driveway and then you're like just done, and then all of a sudden the plow comes.
Yep.
And you're back out there again.
Yep.
So who knows? We still have March ahead of us. So
March Madness.
March can be a snowy month. So
Yep.
We'll see what that holds. In any case, both our February meetings were actually both longer than usual.
Yes,
we're going to jump into things here, starting off with our February 18th council meeting. One of the first items there we wanted to talk about was council adopting a resolution appointing a new member to the Fire Civil Service Commission.
Yep. John Urquhart. John has been a rock in the community for years and years and years. He was with the police department. I don't know exactly how long he was with the police department, but I had the opportunity to work underneath him when I was a reserve officer. Yeah. John is fantastic, and John has a lot of knowledge as far as this area goes. He's going to be perfect for that position.
Yeah, it's always great. We do see some city staff members, after they retire, come back and serve in these. Obviously, they have a lot of knowledge, but as far as how the city operates, but we do also have, quite a few members of the community that serve on these commissions as well. Mm-hmm. And if anybody out there is interested, there is an application online on the city's website, coonrapidsmn.gov. You just go there and you kind of rank which commission you might be interested in, and they keep those on file. And then when openings come up, they get in contact with folks.
Yep, and there are a couple of the commissions that we are still looking for people as well. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate John for stepping up on the Fire Civil Service Commission. Mm-hmm. Another item here we're going to talk about, Council adopted resolutions accepting a police canine grant from AKC Reunite and amending the general fund budget. And this is all because one of our canines is retiring.
Yeah, Taz is retiring. We were kind of talking a little while ago that seems like Taz just came on board 4 years ago, but he's actually been with us for 9 years, and he's retiring, and we're bringing on a new recruit. Yeah. So, but kudos to AKC Reunite for helping us out with this. It's a great program, and the canines are becoming more and more important as you go along. So. Yeah,
and we usually have a couple different ones, right? Or I know within the county, there's some on different departments as well. Yep. So this was, if I believe it, a $7,500 grant. It's not cheap to get the canine, but this will be for some training and to get them on board. And then the police department will be purchasing some equipment out of this current year's budget.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll get introduced to the dog, I imagine, here in the coming months as well.
Oh yeah.
All right. Council held a public hearing, received comments and formal objections, and ordered a project and approved plans and specs and authorized bids. This is for our annual street reconstruction program. There's about 4 miles of streets that are being done this year, and we did have quite a few folks in from that neighborhood that were opposed to the street reconstruction assessments.
This is something that we go through every single year. We've been doing this probably, I believe it's since 1994. But basically, what it is the city goes through and looks at all the different streets that are in the city, which ones need help, and has to put a budget together every single year for getting those projects done. It's not cheap, so they have to sharpen their pencil to figure out where to get those things all done. And the interesting one with this last go around is that you just had we've had some price increases. We've had the economy, the whole works going on. So everybody's looking at where they're pennies in their dollars are going to.
Yeah.
And this year it was like $2,400 per household. It could be stretched over a 30-year period of time, or you could pay it right up front if you wanted through the different ways that it's paid out.
Yeah.
It
was the 10-year plan is for your taxes.
Correct. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yeah.
Did I say 30?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
10 years.
Sorry about
So
that.
they stretch that. I mean, that'd be a lower payment. But
Yeah.
so yeah, you can either pay it up front without interest, or you can have it tacked onto your property taxes over a 10-year period. And the interest rate was around, I believe, 4.4 somewhere in there.
4.4. Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I get it. I understand exactly where the people were coming from, because all of a sudden you see this $2,400 assessment. It's like, I've never experienced this before. And
Right.
As I was talking to some of them, I've lived in the city all my life. I've had my house for 35 years, and I'm gonna have the same situation in a couple of years. I believe one of the other council people, theirs is being done next year.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, it's one of those cases where we all pay our fair share, but at different times, and there may be some people out there that have never had to deal with the assessment. They've just been lucky enough that their streets were either done right before they
Right.
moved in, or haven't had to be done yet. Hopefully, with this whole program here, I believe the magic number is that these streets shouldn't really need to be touched again for another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I know what we're doing right now is they're actually putting down a thicker pavement than we've done in the past, specifically so that the roads will last longer. They'll have to do less patchwork, et cetera. Right. So hopefully, in the long run, saving everybody money.
Yeah. Like you said, $2,400 rather is the assessment for the individual property owners. It's not a small amount, but there are other cities that do it different. And this is all, I mean, it boils down to you're going to pay it one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
And how we've done it here, at least since the 90s, has been about 70% of the cost comes from the general fund property tax dollars,
Yep.
and about 30% comes from the individual assessments.
Yep. Yeah. You bring up a great point, because I'm not going to name cities, but
Yeah.
there's some out there that are 2 times, 3 times
Yeah.
what the way we've got ours set up. So I mean, yeah, there's a particular city out there right now that's $6,000 for the same assessment. So.
I've seen others in the metro. I think when we've talked about these before, that were even at like $12,000. So obviously, that's a lot bigger hit to take
Yep.
at a time. So
Yep.
fortunately, and then it's like you could put this all on property taxes, right? But this is a system we started at in the 90s. So
Yep.
when would you make that switch? And then it's not fair to the people that just
Yep.
probably had an assessment. So
Yep.
this is kind of what's been done now for about 30 years then.
Yeah, it's 94.
Because you said we've almost gotten through the whole city in the next couple of years.
Yep.
It sounds like.
Yep.
And then they'll
Yep.
probably have to repeat the process again, I imagine.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that, if you look if you see the whole recipe and how it's laid out and why it was done the way it was, it is done with the individual households in mind, to try to make it as easy on everybody as possible.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So there's several different areas in the city that are being done. I know off 131st, the Thrush Park neighborhood, and another area off of Hanson and Crane Street, I think,
Yep.
or Quinn, or somewhere around then. But
Yep,
the
you
whole
got
list
some
is
culverts
on
there.
the city's website under the document. Looks like there's about 36 different parcels that are part of this. So I'm not going to read those all off, but you can find this on the city's website. Obviously, the folks that have been impacted already received notice months ago. There's been some meetings, and then they came to the public hearing this week.
Yep.
So that project will be moving forward with construction happening from about May through October or so.
Yeah, we've had a couple of different topics that have come up over the last couple sessions, where we've had a decent sized group of individuals that come in and talk, and that's great. That's what we want, and I know we always have an open mic section to our meetings as well. We encourage people to come in and voice their concerns, because if you don't know or you don't hear about it,
Right.
how are we supposed to help address it?
Exactly. All right. Council considered design flexibility for club car washes at 2550 Coon Rapids Boulevard. This item was actually, I believe, tabled at the previous meeting, and it was actually, the flexibility was denied at this meeting.
Yeah, yeah, and this is one of those cases where you'd like to have some uniformity, continuity to the projects, and we're working really hard at this point to try to bring the Boulevard, Coon Rapids Boulevard, back up to what it was in its youth, if that's what you want to call it. This particular situation is a case of this is in a planned unit development type area, and there's some standards that you like to have done. And with this particular one, it's working with the business owner to try to meet those standards, but it'll also allow them to have as much flexibility as possible for their car wash. I've been told, I don't know if I'm giving them a free plug or whatever, but I've been told nobody dries cars like Club Car Wash.
There you go.
So we love having them on the boulevard. We love having them in the community. It's just trying to work together to make things meet standards and let them,
Right.
do their business how they want to do their business.
Yeah, they wanted to paint the building pretty much black, correct? And the issue is that they need to, falls within the Port Riverwalk Overlay District, which has some higher standards in these different ports on the boulevard, and the requirements call for about 30% brick, right?
brick. Yep,
Okay,
correct.
so it was denied at this point. I suppose they could come back with a different plan if they wanted
Yeah,
to.
and in fact, they've been working with the city really well. They've come back with good ideas and whatever else, and I'm sure we're going to get this one all figured out.
All right. Council received the 2024 Community Development Annual Report.
Yeah, yep. And that's another one of those reports. If you want to go online and take a look at it, it's basically them being transparent with us and the city as far as the different projects that they work on and the different areas where we've been spending money and whatever else. So, but yeah, if you want to see that report, you can go. It's pages long.
Yes. If you need some sleeping material some night to get to bed, check it out on the city's website. There's that, and then there's that whole budget document too. That could really put you to sleep. Probably.
Oh yeah.
All right. Council adopted a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering the ad for bids. This is for the annual street maintenance program. So like we said, we do the street rebuilding in different neighborhoods, and this is for some of the maintenance of other streets.
Yep. Yeah. And this if I remember correctly, that we've got a few different things going on, but this one here is tied in with a few other cities as well. I think we're up to 17 cities, and the whole idea behind that is if you can get more cities involved in these bids and whatever else, it helps lower the prices and just helps make it a whole lot easier to go out and get these bids. So in this particular case, every year we go out and get the different bids for the cities. Cities can participate if they want to or if they don't want to, but again, if you got a larger pool to work with, it just helps save everybody money.
All right, and it looks like it's about up to a dozen cities with Coon Rapids now, and this is basically for things like pavement markings, crack sealing, and fog sealing of streets and trails.
Yep.
So this work will be done as well this summer.
Yep.
All right, and then we also had on a resolution accepting plans and specifications for miscellaneous trail reconstruction and authorizing the solicitation of bids. They always look at doing different trails each year and can only do so many, and they are doing some this year as well.
Yep. That's another one of those situations where you've got so much money in the pot and you try to make as best use of it as possible. And this time around, I think it's 7 different trails or 7 different park type trails that they're looking at doing the work on, and again, it's a case of here's how much money you've got, where can we make the best use of the money. So
Yep, and trying to keeping up over time. This year looks like Sunrise Pond Park Trail, Riverview Trail, Elflin Park Trail, Sand Creek Trail, the Rockslide Park Trails, and the trails here next to City Hall.
Yep. Yep.
So that work will be done. They'll go out for bids here, and then they'll be doing the work sometime between June and August, it looks like.
Yep. Yep.
All right. As the air vents come on here in the studio.
Is that what that was?
That was, yeah. Everything's okay. It was not an earthquake.
I was getting ready to duck.
I know. It's kind of loud sometimes. All right. Moving forward, Council adopted a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering the ad for bids. This is for sanitary sewer lining.
Yep. Yep. And you've probably heard us talk about it at other city council meetings and whatnot. A little while back, a few years back, we discovered that you can put a liner inside of the sewer systems instead of, like in the olden days. If you've been around Coon Rapids for a while, you'd have to rip up the ground or rip up the roads and whatever else and put brand new sewer line down. This is where we're going in and putting the I think the technical term is like a skim sleeve in there to not only does it strengthen the sewer line that's in there, but it also it's better than the clay that we had in there. A lot less expensive to do, a lot quicker to have it done that way, and less what's the word I want? It doesn't impede on people trying to get in and out of their driveways and drive on the road so much. Yep. Yeah. Disruptive, that's the word I was looking for.
All right.
So, yep. We do certain sections of the city every year for that, so kind of like just along the lines of the trails and everything else. Right. They have their budgets, and they have their they spend a lot of time figuring out what's best and what's based on the entire budget we've got, what's going to work for their specific departments.
All right. So it looks like we're in the area of Mississippi Boulevard and Hanson Boulevard this year is where some of this work will be done.
Correct.
Between about June and October once they award bids.
Yep.
All right. Moving forward, Council adopted a resolution accepting plans and specifications. This is for the Highway 10 water main relocation and ordering the ad for bids. This is needed for the upcoming construction work that's going to be taking place on Highway 10 this year.
Yep. Yeah, the county is looking at adding the we always say north-south or east-west lanes, but they go north-south-ish. They're adding that third lane in that area, and with that being done, there's some water mains that need to be moved, specifically just with the amount of traffic that's going through there, and on and on and on, and then of course all the rules, regulations, and whatnot you have to follow.
Right.
This is the simplest way to get that done, and it's a good time to do it now.
All right, so that'll be coming up here quickly now as we approach March, with construction probably starting yet this spring, and will be a little bit disruptive this summer. I imagine they are talking about closing some of the on-ramps.
I'm glad you mentioned
on and
that.
off ramps from, I didn't think Hanson was involved, but Hanson, Main Street, and Round Lake. For some periods of time. We don't know. We don't have an exact schedule. So there will be some short-term pain, as they say, for the long-term gain of adding that capacity between Hanson up to Round Lake Boulevard.
Yeah, if you've ever had to drive that, especially like during rush hour, you will appreciate when this is done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking more about that here this year. Yep. All right, that's all we had for our February 18th council meeting. We're going to jump back to our first meeting of the month, which took place on February 4th. And we had a project there to talk about. Council adopted a resolution. This is actually that you guys considered a planned unit development and preliminary plat for Coon Rapids Townhomes at 10701 Butternut Street. This is off of University Avenue, kind of on the Blaine-Coon Rapids border. And we've talked about this project a couple times, but it has now been approved.
Yeah, it has been approved. This one's kind of near and dear to my heart because it was in my ward. Yep. This is one of those projects that we've got a number of chunks of private property in the city that the developers are trying to do the best they can to get these things developed.
Yeah.
This one here, as you mentioned, is a townhome development. It says 10701 Butternut Street, but the entrance to this townhome complex is going to be off of University.
Yeah.
So when they had originally proposed this, we came back and said, you can't be dumping all of these vehicles onto Butternut Street right into this neighborhood. So.
Yep.
They went back and did their due diligence, had to actually get involved with the county, and finally got the okay to be able to have a right in, right out off of University Avenue now. As far as the way the project is laid out, and as far as the developer trying to work with the neighbors and the surrounding businesses and whatnot. I guess in one way, when you look at it, it's a good way of seeing how the city and the county and the neighborhoods all work together to try to make a new project work.
Okay. And this is for a 34-unit townhome development. So with the approval, they'll have a right in and right out access onto University.
Correct.
And then I believe there's also talk, right, about a fence on the west and south side.
Correct. There's going to be a privacy fence to help alleviate headlights, et cetera, coming in and out of the complex, so that the neighbors have their privacy. You got a situation where the Butternut goes right into a. I call it a sleepy little neighborhood that doesn't, you don't have a whole lot of traffic flowing through there and whatever else. And we all, if you're in that kind of a neighborhood, you love it because you've gotten used to that. So hopefully the way this is being developed, that's going to be able to keep that for the neighbors, and everybody will be happy.
Okay. And this was zoned office before the talk of this project. This land was sold off from the church. Was there Peace Gardens, I believe, at some point. So it's just little amount where they want to turn this into townhomes. And the talk previously was, well, an office use or whatever else could go in there could create more traffic than this said townhome development.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, because again, getting back to getting creative with these pieces of property. Sometimes if they're zoned in a certain category, and you've got a developer that has a great idea. Sometimes you've got to think outside the box and figure out a way to make things work. So there was a little bit of going through the initial process of getting it zoned properly, and then coming back and figuring out a development that would work for everybody involved.
All right. Council adopted a resolution accepting plans and specifications and authorizing the solicitation of bids. This is for the 2025 Well Rehabilitation Program, another thing that we do every year.
But I'm gonna be redundant here. But
must be in February we do all these things, anticipation of spring and summer.
And basically what this is, we've got a number of wells throughout the city, and like everything else, they need to be maintained and taken care of, and checked out on a regular basis to make sure that everything's operating properly. And this is another one of the cases where the department came back and said, here's the ones we're going to be working on this year, here's where the budget fits and whatever else. So here we are on oh shoot, I thought it listed it.
There's a couple different well numbers, right?
Yep.
Right, which won't mean anything to anybody, but
nope.
But we do some of the different well numbers each year, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yep.
All right.
Correct.
Council considered 2 joint powers agreements and approved those joint powers agreements. This is for signal reconstructions and ADA improvements at 2 different intersections on Northdale Boulevard, correct?
Yep, correct. In fact, this kind of, ironically, it doesn't tie back to the townhome project we were talking about, but it is right in that area. So they're ironically being done at similar periods of time. The one is on Northdale Boulevard, right at the Eisenhower intersection, or Cool intersection, and the other one is on Northdale and University, right on the edge of town there. It's basically it's the way this project was set up. It worked well to do it at this particular time, and with the the agreement that we had worked out with Blaine. Because it is that the one intersection is right on the border of Coon Rapids and Blaine. We have if you want to call it a sister city agreement on those particular roads to work together on those things.
All right, so new signals there and ADA improvements for that project this year. Council adopted a resolution accepting plans and specifications and authorizing the solicitation of bids for the Foley Monopole.
Yep.
This is the old water tower site, right?
Yep, where you see the oldest water tower in the city. That water tower has now been decommissioned, if I'm using the terminology right. It hasn't come down yet. That's going to be later next year that's going to be taking place. But that water tower will be coming down because of the brand new water tower that we built off of Coon Rapids Boulevard. But there's a number of cell antennas and things like that have been on the water tower for years and years and years. So part of the agreement with those companies to be able to continue to get that business, we're going to be building a monopole right by where the water tower is and putting those antennas back up there.
All right, and there's a temporary one right now there that they've put them on, but they'll be moved to this permanent one once that's constructed.
Steve, you are always one step ahead of me here.
All right, I like that. We're just in flow here. All right, the last item we wanted to talk about was a resolution accepting the 2025 Crisis Response Grant from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety Office of Justice Programs. This is basically going to allow us to add a second embedded mental health professional in our police department.
Correct. And this is a big deal. It really is a big deal. We talked about it at length at the council meeting, but the one that we already have in place right now, I believe was for 2023 with the last numbers. They took well over 2,000 calls, and we were kind of breaking everything down. And I mean, these individuals are doing anywhere from 6 to 8 calls a day on average. And like we mentioned then, that may not seem like a lot, but some of these calls could be 2-3 hours long. Some of them, I mean, depending on what the situation they're dealing with, could hours and hours. And it's a very, very utilized
service. I mean, for the officers and the community.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you look at evenings, weekends, etc. When you've got, I don't want to say more family members at home, but if you've got more individuals in the city, whatever, these calls can be significant.
Yeah, and obviously there's a big focus on mental health right now, but some of this also helps police department because a lot of times you're on repeat calls to the same properties or same individuals over and over. By involving one of these mental health professionals, you can maybe hopefully rectify that and get them the help they need so they don't have to keep calling. Yep.
If you ever watch any of these live PDs or whatever else, how many wellness type calls and you know. It's very, very much needed in today's day and age. So having a second one come on board is going to just be that much more beneficial for the city.
All right, that's awesome, and that job's been posted, and they'll be on board probably here in the next month or two. Yep. All right. Well, we are basically out of time.
Okay.
So I appreciate you coming in here today and talk. It goes fast when we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it does.
So thanks for coming in today and being with us. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll see you back here after our 2 meetings in March.